Yes, United States District Court, District of Maine, United States of America versus Timothy Grigg, criminal number 85-000001B, plea agreement. The United States of America, by and through William H. Browder, Jr., Assistant U.S. Attorney for the District of Maine, and Timothy Grigg, acting for himself and through his counsel, Marshall A. Stern, Esquire, enter into the following agreement based on the promises and understandings set forth below. Number one, Timothy Grigg is presently is under indictment in the District of Maine in the case of United States versus Enrique Carabello, etc., et al. Criminal docket number 85-00001-B. 2. Timothy Grigg agrees to enter a plea guilty to count 1 of criminal docket number 85-00001-B. In exchange, the government agrees to dismiss counts 2, 3, and 4 at the time of sentencing. The purpose of this agreement is to secure the cooperation of Timothy Grigg with the United States in order to further the investigation and prosecution of those persons involved in the illegal drug trade. Timothy Grigg understands that the United States is conducting an investigation into the violation of various federal laws by persons involved in the illegal drug trade. The government believes that Timothy Grigg has information regarding the criminal acts of his co-defendants and other persons who have not yet been indicted in regard to the illegal importation and distribution of drugs. Timothy Grigg, 4. Timothy Grigg agrees to meet with the agents of the government as designated by Assistant U.S. Attorney William H. Browder, Jr., as needed to tell fully, honestly, truthfully, and completely all he knows or has heard about concerning violations of federal law, including but not limited his involvement and the involvement of others, and to answer all related questions in the same manner. He agrees to provide the government or aid the government in acquiring all documents, photographs, bills, records, receipts, and all like material which he has in his custody or to which he has access, which will corroborate his information. Timothy Grigg further agrees to testify fully, honestly, truthfully, and completely at any and all grand juries, trials, or court proceedings in which his testimony is needed in the District of Maine or any other federal district. Timothy Grigg agrees to meet with designated government agents or attorneys in preparation for such testimony at grand juries, trials, or other court proceedings. 5. It is understood that should any of the information provided by Timothy Grigg reveal any other violations of the Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act, Title 21 U.S.C. 801, etc., except the indictment mentioned in paragraph 1, to which he is expected to plead guilty, it will be deemed as having been given under use immunity, and it could not be used against him. He shall not receive use immunity regarding his involvement in the case listed in paragraph 1. Nothing in this agreement will preclude the prosecution of Timothy Grigg for any serious violent crime committed by him or at his direction, should such a crime become known through statements of Timothy Grigg or otherwise. However, it is the intent of the parties that if Timothy Grigg complies with the terms of this agreement, he will not be further prosecuted for the crimes alleged in the pending indictments or drug offenses which his cooperation may reveal he violated up to the date of that agreement. If Timothy Grigg should fail in any way to cooperate fully, honestly, truthfully, and completely, the government will be released from its commitments herein, and his agreement will be null and void. Nothing in this agreement will prevent the United States from, instituting prosecution of Timothy Grigg for perjury, false statement, or false declaration if Timothy Grigg commits such acts in connection with this agreement or otherwise. Additionally, Timothy Grigg understands that the United States will not tolerate any future violations of federal or state law by him, and should any become known, nothing in this agreement will preclude prosecution of Timothy Grigg by appropriate authorities for such violations. 8. Timothy Grigg understands that there are no further or other agreements, either express or implied, other than those contained in this agreement. 9. Timothy Grigg's signature in the spaces designated signifies his full and voluntary acceptance of this agreement. It is understood by the defendant, Timothy Grigg, that this agreement is made pursuant to Rule 11E1C, Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, and that it is a binding agreement on the court. In other words, Timothy Grigg understands that should the court reject this agreement, he has the right to withdraw his guilty plea. Date 8/22/85, Richard Cohen, United States Attorney, by William H. Browder, Jr., Assistant U.S. Attorney. I have read this agreement and carefully reviewed every part of it with my attorney. I understand it and I voluntarily agree to it. Dated, Timothy Grigg. I represent Timothy Grigg as his legal counsel. I have carefully reviewed every part of this agreement with him. To my knowledge, his decision to enter this agreement is an informed and voluntary one. Marshall A. Stern, Esquire, attorney for Timothy Grigg.